Good morning, everybody. This is Randy, a bariatric carnivore. Today is June 6th, 2024. It is the second day after my third dental implant surgery. Things went pretty well. Had the results I expected. I don't have my upper teeth yet. I'm going to be healing again for 4 more months before I get my temporaries, which means I'm going to be on a liquid diet for at least that length of time. This close after surgery, it's a very strict liquid and soft food diet. For me, that means a lot of liquids. So I learned couple of years ago when I first started my keto journey. I was following influencers, YouTube channels such as Keto Connect and Serious Keto, and one came along. His name is Tallow, and his recommendation at one point was a fat fast, where he incorporated a fat butter coffee similar to Bulletproof. It also came up that Ken Berry recommended fat coffees, but he didn't use the term bulletproof, and neither do I. It is a hot coffee with butter blended into it. I use salted butter because for me it ends up tasting like a salted caramel coffee, a salted caramel latte. Turns out I like that flavor, so I tweaked with the recipe a little bit. I added vanilla to it to enhance that flavor and a little cocoa. And for as much as I recommend one ingredient foods, things I can make in my own home, this fat coffee works very well. Thomas DeLauer recommended it as a way to extend your fast from overnight. Instead of breaking your fast in the morning with breakfast, he mentioned extending the fast with this fat coffee. So I worked out a recipe making a fat buttery mocha. Very good. And I'm back to doing that while I can't really eat anything solid or have any food material in my mouth. Anything that can easily clean and rinse is the goal for the next couple of weeks, sticking to liquids. So I make this fat coffee using basically 16 ounces of coffee, a couple of teaspoons of cocoa powder, an ounce of butter, a little bit of vanilla. Blend it up, and it becomes out nice and frothy. And I also experimented, and that is something I have always enjoyed doing, experimenting with recipes, substituting ingredients, substituting flavors, see what I like better. So I tried making a butter broth. A friend of mine I have mentioned makes broths for me, and I'm able to buy very good consomme from the local Mexican food truck, but that's a little spicy for my sensitive palate right now while I'm recovering from what they did during the surgery. But broth, very mild flavor. I had nothing but salt and butter to it, and it tastes delicious. A good, creamy, chickeny is what I like right now, soup. Chicken broth, 16 ounces of chicken broth, a couple of tablespoons of butter, and salt to taste. And I have a very delicious soup to sip for lunch, knowing I'm getting my fat in. I'm still making scrambled eggs. Lots and lots of scrambled eggs. In fact, I cooked up almost 30 yesterday. I put a dozen in a bowl, fresh out of the, I let it cool in bowls and put it in a resealable container to take to work today, so that I have a good source of protein. I have a good source of fat with my fatty broth. And I have learned that since I am a bariatric patient, I can have quite a bit of fat, but I need to limit it. I have lost my gallbladder, so I'm good for maybe a stick and a half of butter total throughout the day to get my fat. And that works out to about a whole stick of butter has about 44 grams of fat in it according to the label. So I'm careful with how much fat I get in, because if I have too much, I could have disaster pants. So I don't really trust a fart during this process, especially when it's liquids and only liquids this close to surgery. So my current diet yesterday and for the next week or two before, until I have my next checkup after surgery, will be these sort of liquids and eggs. I will not eat a lot of ground meat, or if I do, I will puree it very fine in a food processor and blend it with liquids, simple plain broths, so that they're not too spicy. Spicy does hurt the sensitive palate right now. In 2 weeks, I have my follow-up appointment with the dentist. So I will continue exploring these rabbit holes I found along my journey to my carnivore lifestyle. But my goal has been to eliminate and really narrow down my diet to what is best for me, the simple one ingredient foods I can combine to make a good, tasty dish. I am willing to use spices, obviously, if I'm relying on recipes like chili and sloppy joe and taco guts. I do enjoy that. So at this point, I'm going to say goodbye, and you guys have a good day and eat lots of meat.